Hi my friends, tonight we're going to be replacing the tire and tube on this BMX bike, but it's just an example bike. It could be any bicycle, from a road bike to a mountain bike to a little 20-inch BMX like this, whatever. The reason we're doing this is, number one, there's a slow leak in the tube, and also the tire is worn out, bald. But let's just get right into it. You don't need too much time, you don't need too much tools, but you do need a little knowledge. So check out the video, it'll be very informative. As you can see, this tire is very worn, and also on the side walls, the stitching is showing through various spots. This is basically shot. So what we did was we went to the bicycle store with the numbers off the side of the tire, the size, which is, this is a 20-inch, so it's a 20 by, which is an X, so 20X 1.95, but the replacement tire we got is a 20X 2.05, which is like 2 centimeters fatter. As far as tools you will need is, you're going to need a wrench, like an adjustable like this, or some sort of suitable wrench to help you get the nuts off, whether it's the back tire you're doing or the front tire. And although this bike has pegs, you'll often find nuts in the place, such as this tire has nuts, so you would use the wrench on this. Rubber gloves would be very helpful, because on this bike we're going to be dealing with the back tire and the bike chain that's covered with grease and oil. And that grease and oil is very hard to get out of your skin, so rubber gloves is definitely handy. We got a new tube and a new tire for this bike. The tube was like $8 and the tire was like $30, although they did have cheaper tires. The tube has they call this the Schrader valve. This is where the air is going to go into the tire. So another tool that comes in really handy for putting new tires on a bike is called a Schrader valve tool, and this helps you take the valve out of the Schrader valve, which is that middle thing there. Okay, this helps you get that out, which at a certain point we're going to want it out, because we're going to want to put a lot of air in the tire relatively quickly to what they call seat the bead of the tire to the rim. And if you use this to unscrew that Schrader valve in there, you can get a lot of air in the tire quickly. And so we take that out with this tool. Now that's wide open, we could get a lot of air in there quickly. To seat the bead, this is the bead of the tire. We can seat it into the rim easily. Another tool is a tire pressure gauge, and this is a bicycle tire spoon. They call this a tire spoon. Also a compressor. We might be able to get away with like a portable compressor, such as something like this. Although I also have the big compressor, which would be better, because like I said, there's a certain point when you want to get a lot of air into the tire quick, and this puts in a steady flow of air, but not quickly. Where this has the big tanker, we can get a big rush of air in there relatively quickly. Put either the tire chuck on, or our extended tire chuck on our hose there. First thing we want to do is turn the bike over so we can work on it, and that's easily accomplished. And by carefully standing it on its bars and its seat, and taking our big wrench, we're gonna, in this case, we're gonna take these pegs off, which also double as the bolts, but you may indeed have just bolts on your bike. This bike has the kind of brakes where you go backwards with the pedal and it activates the brakes. I think they call it a coaster brake or something like that. But anyway, we have to take this bracket off. It's simply accomplished by readjusting our wrench on the nut and loosen her up. take the bolt nut and the bolt out and pop this chain off, and then actually take the tire off the bike by getting the chain around the lugs and just taking the whole wheel off of there. And you can see we've left the chain right here for reinstallation. Now I'm just going to pick any spot on this rim here. I'm going to use my tire spoon, and I'm just going to put it under the edge and just kind of get the bead above the rim, and then just kind of move my tire spoon to the side, and that starts it coming off. And once you get like this much off, you could just come in here with your fingers and just get the rest off. Now that's one bead. We still got the bead on the other side that we're going to take off this way too, so almost following the same procedure. I'm going to get the far bead close to this rim here, stick my tire bead tool underneath it. Can you see that? And then just, the old tire is off, the tube comes out of the tire. Now if we were just replacing the tube or patching it and putting the old tire back on, at this point you would want to open it up like this and carefully go around the inside, see if you could find what caused the leak. Sometimes a little piece of metal or glass or a pebble or stone could be stuck in there. Anything as small as a office staple could be sticking in there, or a nail or a screw or anything. But you want to go around the whole tire. This one's full of dirt. The whole tire, and check for that, because if there is indeed still something sharp there, and we patch this tube and put it all back together, you're just going to make another hole in the tire. So that's if you're using the old tire, but we're not, because of stuff like this where the threads are showing through. We've deemed this tire to be worn out. Now the tube, the old tube, we're going to take off. And if you had one of those black air caps on your Schrader valve, you would remove it at this point and just pull it clear of the rim. Now we're going to take our new tire and we're going to check the sidewall, because some of them have a rotation that they designed to turn in. This one seems to be omnidirectional either way, because there is no arrow saying rotation, so we don't have to worry about that on this one. We're going to take our new tire, and what we're going to do is put one bead. We're going to put the far bead on the rim. Then we're going to come and stick our tube in it, and then put the close bead on. So starting at one point, I'm going to get the bead as best as I can over the rim. And when it gets tough to do, it's time to get out the tire spoon and give it that last little persuasion. Okay, so we got the one bead on the rim. Now we're going to come and tuck our tube in here. So find the hole in your rim for the air valve. Kind of tuck your tube in the tire. Stick the valve through the hole. And then carefully, so we don't put any holes in it, we're going to tuck this tube, the new tube, into the new tire. And we're going to want to watch we don't get stuck on anything sharp. And put a hole in our new tube. Once we've got it tucked in there, we're just going to double check that it is indeed in a good position. Coming back to our Schrader valve, we can put this nut back on. This one, particular one, has this nut. Now we're going to put this front bead on the rim. So starting at any point, using our hand strength, we're just going to go around and get as much as we can on the rim. In this case, we got it all on the rim without using the spoon, which is good because there is a chance you could pinch the tube with the tire spoon and make a hole in it. So the less you have to use it, the better. Using the Schrader valve tube, we've already taken the Schrader valve out and we removed the black air cap from the new tube's stem. There's also a, on this particular one, there's a nut here threaded down. We're going to want to take that off too. And we're going to put that back on in a minute. We're just going to go around and get as much as we can on the rim. In this case, we got it all on the rim. We want to seat the bead at this point by using the compressed air from the compressor to, with the valve out of the Schrader valve, to fill it up relatively quickly until you hear a snap as the bead seats. If the bead doesn't seat correctly, it's going to be crooked on the rim and you'll see it because the tire won't look even, and that is not good. Because the Schrader valve is out, as soon as you take the air off, all the air will come back out of the tire. Readjust your tire on the rim and try again to seat the bead. So we look around and make sure it's even, and this one's looking pretty good on this side, and the other side's looking pretty good. So at this point we can go put our valve back in and fill this tire up. Here's our Schrader valve, and it goes in that the top that engages in the Schrader valve tube. See how it keys in there? Like that, okay? Not like that, like that. So that is the top of the valve. So the other end goes in. And just tighten it until it's snug. Now, a quick note also on this Schrader valve tube. This could be used to remount the stem. That's the fitting to remove the valve. And this can be used to restore the threads inside should you find the threads are distorted or ground down or anything like that, damaged in any way. You could use this side to rethread it, and this side is to rethread the outside should your old one again be damaged, distorted, ground down, or whatever. You could rethread it using that part of the Schrader tool. So every side of this Schrader tool has a reason and a use. Now that this one is 85 psi. This is a high pressure tire, and you have to be careful because the front tire on this bike is a 45. So using our compressor hose with our tire chuck on it, we're going to fill this up to 85 psi, plus or minus 5% is fine. 37. Side by side, you'll see the automotive tire pressure gauge and the truck tire pressure gauge. The automotive tire pressure gauge only goes up to 50 psi. The truck tire pressure gauge goes up to 120 psi, and it also has the metric equivalent, because a lot of bike tires are metric standard, so it also has the metric equivalent on the other side. So because it's overpressuring the automotive gauge, this new tire at the designed 85 psi, we're up there. Now we're going to orient the tire. One side has the sprocket and one side has that arm on it that goes to the coaster brake. Okay, we got the chain over the sprocket. We got the bike tire sitting in its adjustment slots, and we've got our coaster brake thing pretty close to where it belongs. At this point, we're going to loosely put the pegs or nuts back on. I'm not going to tighten these up fully at this point because we want to adjust our chain. Loosen these pegs up and scoot the rim back to tighten up the chain. If needed for proper chain tension, you could take a screwdriver and stick it in the adjustment slot to give you a little leverage to get that chain tight. And then go to the other side, make sure that the tire is tracking straight, and again fulcrum if you have to. Now our chain is nice and tight. We got about 25, so we're gonna fill this up to 40. And if you go a little over, like I'm supposed to fill it up to 40, but I actually got it up to 50, you can take the top of your dust cap. Take the top of your dust cap, the top, and stick it in the valve and it'll bleed some air out. And then check your pressure again. 40. Perfect. Too much tire pressure, you run the risk of popping a tire from excess pressure. Too little tire pressure, you could also pop the tire. If you hit a curb or any rock or obstacle, if there's not enough pressure, it's going to pinch the tube against the metal rim and you're going to get a hole in your tube. So correct tire pressure that's marked on the sidewalls is very important. I hope this video made it easy for you guys, girls, women, kids, who's ever doing this. It's an easy thing to do. It takes, even making a video, it took 15 minutes. If I wasn't making the video, it would take 10 minutes. Very easy to do. Have fun doing it, and ride safe. Subscribe to my channel while you're here. It really helps me out with this YouTube gig. Rate the video and use the comment box below for any questions or comments. Either I or the other YouTube users will be glad to help you out.